Before there were X-women, and before there were Xettes, there were the women of Mount St. Bernard, who were told that physical activity was an essential component of their education. The 1924 yearbook notes that during the balmy, golden days of September and October, the tennis court of Mount St. Bernard was alive with eager, vivacious girls whose joyous laughter echoed over the campus as group after group engaged in closely contested tennis tournaments. Those young women took advantage of the many and varied facilities at the Mount, playing badminton and ping pong in the evenings and going skating at Memorial Rink down the hill. They played basketball and volleyball and field hockey, competing in intercollegiate tournaments. In fact, the team from Mount St. Bernard was maritime champion in basketball in 1959, 1960, and 1961. There were women on the StFX varsity ski team in the late 1940s and 50s, and by the end of the 1960s, when everything was changing, there were women on the StFX varsity fencing, judo, and gymnastics teams training and competing with the men. Incredibly, Lynn Pascoe won a national title in 1968 in the free exercise program at the National Gymnastics Tournament hosted that year in Antigonish. By 1969, though, the women of the Mount began competing for StFX, renamed the Xettes, and coached by pioneers like Carolyn Savoy and Peggy McDonald, later Gallant. Standout athletes such as Diane Orsini and Kathy Flieger became well-known names on campus and beyond. Throughout the 1970s, the university began to embrace women's sports, including female athletes in end-of-year honors and supporting teams with coaching and equipment. Margie Murphy's strong ball control earned her AUAA first-time All-Star honors in basketball, and her partnership on the court and on the field with Marg Tiny Berthume heralded a golden era of powerful multi-sport athletes at StFX. The volleyball team, one of the original sports to come down the hill from Mount St. Bernard to the Olin Center, enjoyed success throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The recent loss of the volleyball program was a blow for female athletes who wore the X proudly for decades. In 1984, arguably envious of the fun the men had, the group of women and male supporters formed StFX's first women's rugby team. The group was a hardy bunch of mud-loving women who wrestled their opponents to the ground and quickly established dominance in both the regular season and indoor league play. Meanwhile, under Peggy Gallant's guidance, the soccer team gained steam. They made playoffs in 7 of the 8 seasons she coached. In fact, they were regional champions before the AUAA even recognized women's soccer. Cross country came to campus in the late 80s too, coached from the outset by Bernie Chisholm. The co-ed team has produced Olympians, and in the case of Antigonish native Lavinia Goff, a CIAU silver medalist. That year she won every race in Atlantic Canada and earned a berth to run at the World Championships. Between 2000 and 2012, the X-Women earned AUS championship banners in cross country and claimed 6 individual AUS champions. When Teresa Mokosh played basketball for StFX in the mid-1990s, she made an immediate and long-lasting impact. The all-time leading scorer in CIS basketball scored a record-setting 2,111 points in 91 games for the university, was a 4-time StFX Female Athlete of the Year, and is the only female StFX basketball player to receive All-Canadian designation. By the early 1990s, female athletes were known as the X-Women. A women's hockey club was formed, but for 4 years they practiced without playing games. Finally, the CIAU staged a women's hockey tournament in 1998, but the X-Women's home games were still played in New Glasgow as rink time in Antigonish was at a premium. Despite this, the X-Women won the AUAA title in 1999, 2001, and 2002. Indeed, the hockey team has won 10 AUS championships since its inception. In track and field, Erin McLean was top 3 in Canada every year between 2005 and 2007 in the 3,000-meter event. The X-Women have won fully 43 AUS gold medals in track and field events since 2002. Coach Mike Kavanagh joined the X-Women rugby squad in 1999, and by 2007 the team had won 10 straight AUS titles. Winger Ghislaine Landry was the first X-Woman to be named CIS Player of the Year in 2008, and then held on to that title for the next year too. Landry led the X-Women to their first national title in 2006, the beginning of a dynasty. Since then, the X-Women have maintained their dominance, winning the national championships in 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, and 2018. They are 20-time AUS champions. We have come a long way from being eager, vivacious girls and a bunch of mud-loving women. But the nationally competitive athletes of today owe a debt of gratitude to all those who came before them, who fought for locker rooms and for ice time, who won fans and respect through grit and determination, who rode buses through the night to play, who played with broken fingers and rolled ankles and torn ACLs, who recognized from the beginning that being part of a team wasn't about playing at all. It was about friendship and power and confidence. It was about life.